And that's exactly why we're doing this, guys. You got to make sure that you're not just watching the clips and taking your basing your opinion.
And I believe it's my duty to level with you, to tell the truth, no matter how difficult, no matter how painful. And here, in my view, is what is true. MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution.
MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution.
Come on, man.
Can we at least say clearly that's overt? That's egregious.
Not exactly. I mean, I've shared the quote a couple of times about Trump saying that, you know, it was fair to suspend the rules in the Constitution because, I mean, in his words, the election was stolen, right? Like, if you're willing to elect someone who believes that that's an okay remedy, then I think it's kind of fair to say that that's a pretty large attack on the Constitution.
What if the election really was stolen? Would it be okay to suspend the Constitution to bring that out? If we all agreed, there was no question, it was in writing, there was an email from Joe Biden, you know, we knew for sure, however it is, we knew for sure that there was something within the DNC or just the deep state in general.
I think that there are plenty of legal systems that would take care of something like that. If there was very clear evidence that the election was stolen, then Biden would be arrested for, you know, conspiracy to defraud the American people's right to vote.
Right, and the only disparity from there is the fact that because it wasn't in writing, that it just wasn't that clear.
I mean, there's just no compelling evidence generally, right? No single state said that there was any like outcome determinative fraud, and there would need to be many states who had that outcome determinative fraud.
Sure. Yeah. Again, I agree with you that Joe Biden is the legitimate president. Again, we want to talk about the people who, there's a lot of people who believe it was stolen. And a lot of those people are watching Joe Biden. And especially if they're only seeing clips like that, then we can understand why people hate Biden so much, regardless of the policies, and hate that the culture of saying it's okay to say that this half of the country is bad because of this thing. I don't think that's a good precedent.
I think that, I mean, as you said, when we were going in here, people get fed really small clips of things like this, right? So yeah, it matters what else is said.
Sure. And that's exactly why we're doing this, guys. You got to make sure that you're not just watching the clips and taking your basing your opinion.
Trust me, bro.
Yes, use the clips because there's a lot going on and you can't, you know, watch everything, but especially when it's our president speaking, and whether you like it or not, Joe Biden is in fact the president. So I definitely agree there. So Bill says, to be fair, many Trump supporters feel the left has already ignored the Constitution when they were having backdoor discussions to moderate posts on social media, whether that is technically censorship or not. And that's a great point. So that's kind of what I was trying to articulate, that this idea of not respecting the Constitution, for the left to come in, specifically Joe Biden to come in, like I can, for you to say, hey, you David to say, well, Biden or Trump did this, and I don't think that's respecting the Constitution. That's one thing. But we get the establishment Democrats saying it. It's like,
really, of all people?
Wait a minute. So it's okay when you do it, but when somebody else does it, it's eroding the Constitution. You know what I mean? And again, I know we disagree with that, but I'm just trying to get the idea of what is that average person who doesn't like the speech already? What is in their head, and why don't they like it?
Sorry, can you draw that comparison for me? I just want to make sure I know what you're talking about.
Sure. Let's shout out to Virgil Kane. Welcome to the party. So, you know, as Bill Bradley is saying here, that there's at many points with the, you know, like with the Twitter files, stuff that was going on
one thing. So the Twitter files, right? What happened there?
What do people think happened? What really happened is not relevant here.
Good Lord! It's a conspiracy!
What really happened is the thing that really matters.
I agree with you.
If they think something else, then we should consider why that is.
And sure, we can do that, but that's not the conversation that we're having. We're having the conversation. How do people view these things, and why is it such that there is we can watch the same speech and see two very different things? Right. And so again, with the Twitter files, regardless of what the truth of the matter is, many people took that to mean, oh, the CIA was in in Zuckerberg's and Jack Dorsey's pocket, saying you have to ban this, you have to ban that, you have to ban that. That was not the case. That was not the case. I agree with you. That was not the case. The point is that when people think that's the case, and they say, well, that's not constitutional, and then we say, oh, the Constitution. If those lined up, that is hypocritical from that vantage point.
Sure, but I guess that comes back to why do people think that that's the case, right?
Because media is bad.
If people are being told something that isn't true, then ultimately the reason why that's not, why they are interpreting that as an attack on them is because they were lied to.
I agree, but that doesn't change the fact that because they were lied to, they now think X, Y, and Z. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't in this context. It doesn't matter if they're wrong. It doesn't matter if the Twitter files were completely fabricated, because people already think that. And so then when Joe Biden knows that people think this, then he's going in and saying 70 million of you are eroding our democracy. Let's shout out to Stephanie Miller. Welcome to the party. Said, I think most people believe it was stolen, but not in the same way Trump thinks it was stolen. Bingo. I definitely agree with that. Yeah, it goes back to, just like we were saying, the changing the mail-in ballots, the counts overnight, all that kind of stuff. And whether or not it was true, whether or not it even had an effect at all, the fact of the matter is people do believe that. And as a president, you have to address where people are. And if people believe wrong things, then it's your job to help them come together. Exactly. Yeah, we definitely, I think we all can agree the media sucks and is divisive and specifically tries to make me think that, Biden is the worst thing ever and tries to make you think that Trump is the worst thing ever. That's not, there's no argument there. We all hate the media. The point is, if you know that, then we shouldn't be feeding into it. Bill says they were asking for sites to review whether or not posts violated the site's terms of service. That is not technically censorship, but I don't need the government playing a social media monitor. It is flirting with interfering with speech by farming out to a private company and their TOS. Yeah, and so that's kind of it's like, oh, well, again, it's like if David is talking about, well, we need to respect the Constitution, like, fuck yeah, we do. But when somebody who is trampling over our rights in general, whether it's a constitutional right or otherwise, it's rich coming from you. And so that's the perception. Fair enough?
Right. And like I said, I just think that more blame ought to lie on the people that are lying to people, making them feel that way.
I can definitely agree with that. Definitely agree with that.
In my view, is what is true. MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. They do not believe in the rule of law. They do not recognize the will of the people. They refuse to accept the results of a free election.
And again, it's not us that's refusing I started this off saying Joe Biden is the president of the United States. It's Donald Trump who's doing that. And so
if you don't believe that, then you shouldn't feel attacked by this.
Why not?
If you feel like the election wasn't stolen, and he's talking specifically about people who do, right? Who don't believe that things like the law should be enforced because
Okay, but stolen is a very strong word. That doesn't mean that I don't think that it was all above board. And so I don't think that it was above board. And so I don't think that if it was above board that Biden would be in office.
Can you go into depth there?
I mean, again, if we didn't change to the mailing ballots, it's Trump's fault. But that we locked down. If we didn't lock down, if we were able to go and still have the absentee ballots, but not in the mass mail-in, that completely changed the landscape of how people interacted with the election process.
But isn't that interaction just people voting, right? If there's no evidence that there was fraud, then American people voted for the current president.
Sure.
Right? I'm trying to understand how, like, even
So you
if
don't
those
see
changes were
you don't see
made,
any change in how the 2016 election was held and the 2020 election was
sure, there were changes that were made due to COVID.
Okay, so that's what we're talking about.
But I guess what I'm trying to get at is, like, how is that somehow not above board? If all of the votes that were cast, or at least all but a tiny, tiny, tiny percent of votes were legitimately cast, I don't understand how that makes the election
What's the
not
tiny
above
percent?
board. The number of votes that were cast that were not legitimate.
How do we what
I
you
mean,
have a number on it?
we keep track of them. There's some few dozen from the 2020 election.
I think it's a lot. Yeah. Shout out to M169. Welcome to the party. That's a news clip today that just over 14,000 dead people voted in Michigan. And so again, we can I don't think that you're unaware of, well, maybe, and let me not put that out there. So are you legitimately completely unaware of why people are upset with how the election played out? Or are you just trying to get me to explain it and to explain why that's not a legitimate reason to think that the election was stolen?
I understand the reasons why people think that it was not legitimate.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to get on. Whether those reasons are good or not, the fact is those people have their reasons in their head, and they're listening to this speech, and they are casting votes because of it.
Well, but again, it's like, if you already aren't listening to Biden, then what he's saying probably isn't going to sway you any further, right? Like, he's already trying to narrow down to a pretty small subset of the population. Like, if
70 million is small,
he's not talking about a majority of Republicans.
that's not. So you said small. 70 million is a small number.
No, he's talking about something like half of Republicans. Right?
That's a lot of people. That's not a small group.
It's somewhere close to about 10% of the U.S. 10 to 15.
That's a lot of people. That's not small.
Sure.
Shout out to T-Bird the Third. Welcome to the party. Said I was pro-Trump in the last election, but hate the Abraham Accords. Wow, that's not something you hear that often. Because I'm saying, can anyone make out what Biden is saying? Well, he's doing good so far. I will give him his due so far. Aside in terms of oration and dictation, he's doing fine. So, but fine. That's again, what we're doing here is not trying to litigate what are the realities of what's going on. We are trying to talk about what is the perception of the American people and how is that perception being used or weaponized, or trying to be solved. And I don't think this speech had any intention of bringing anyone together. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed that clip, check out the full live stream link in the bio and catch me live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. See you there.